Attentional training is a technique or system that helps people focus, concentrate, and make better decisions. All the things that we're trying to help you do in this digital age. A part of metacognitive therapy, attentional training teaches you to move your attention flexibly to neutral or positive things in the environment rather than being stuck on the negative or threatening thoughts. The whole idea of attentional training is to improve and enhance your attentional abilities. It helps you practice focus, sustained attention, selective attention, and attentional control. As such, it can help to improve overall cognitive performance and reduce a myriad of other negative qualities. In this video, we'll explore all the various benefits of attentional training and learn some exercises to get started. But before we do so, make sure to hit that subscribe button and like the video so we can continue feeding you nuggets of knowledge on brain and behavior. Attentional training therapy, or ATT for short, is like fitness for the mind. Much like our body in the gym, you train your mind to have more control over meandering worries, rumination, and thoughts that worsen depression and anxiety. ATT can give you the power to identify repetitive patterns of negativity and gain control, thereby mental flexibility. Now, the general structure of ATT works like this. Number one, you get an assessment of your attention. You're assessed on the strengths and weaknesses of your general attention, and oftentimes these assessments are done through standardized tests, self-report measures, and observation of behaviors. Secondly, you then set your goals. Once the assessments are made, you evaluate the specific needs and goals for improving your attention. Usually this happens between yourself and the therapist who is conducting the ATT. You then establish the next steps on how to get started based around your goals. Then third, you begin your training exercises. You go through a variety of exercises in intentional training to identify and improve upon the identified attentional difficulties that you have. The tasks in the exercises include fostering sustained attention, fostering selective attention, practicing attentional switching, and improving working memory. And then next is all about practice and repetition. You practice and repeat these steps regularly, making sure to highlight progress along the way. If working with a therapist, guidance can be provided along the way. Then once that step is good, you then apply and transfer. Once the skills are learned, the next step is to apply these things to everyday tasks and challenges, from work to social interactions. And then finally, follow-up. Since long-term effectiveness is most important, continue to follow up with your progress, whether or not you're actually falling back to old ways. You need to reinforce, reevaluate, and review whether these old attentional difficulties have returned to you. And also you need to then learn to adapt new additional skills as well. Again, overall attentional training has a number of benefits. As we mentioned earlier, it can improve attentional control. Attentional training done consistently strengthens the neural networks in your brain involved in attentional regulation, leading to enhanced focus and concentration. And what this means is you'll be less likely to be distracted and can spend your time more wisely. Attentional biases, such as focusing on negative things, such as scrolling through an empty feed, can distract and generally interfere with your cognitive function as a whole. But with ATT, you can learn to process and direct that attention more effectively. Attentional training also has a lot to do with regulating the self and learning to control impulses. You become more aware of your attentional states, resist impulsive behaviors, and stay focused on what is relevant. Also, since you are learning to regulate the self, this includes improving emotional regulation. Attentional training teaches you to be less anxious from becoming distracted. And finally, as we talked about earlier, you have more transferable skills. The thing about attentional training is that it goes beyond just that moment. Learning to control your attention helps improve other facets of daily life, from work or studying, productivity, cognitive performance, functioning. With greater performance and productivity, you have a higher potential to make more money, become a better person, foster more stronger relationships with your friends and family. It just seeps into every aspect of your life. So through the years, there have been plenty of evidence demonstrating the effectiveness of ATT. Again, for example, in a 2001 study looking at attentional rehabilitation after brain injuries, the researchers surveyed 30 different studies across 359 patients. They noted that after attentional training, there was a larger size of effectiveness of the participants from pre-training to post-training. Another example of an attentional training developed by Adrian Wells uses the skills to learn to treat emotional disorders. A recent review of studies on the effectiveness of ATT found therapeutic benefits of attentional training across a broad range of symptoms and disorders, improving panic disorder, social anxiety, depression, stressful life events, and health anxiety. So, how can we get started with attentional training? So some easy ways to get started with attentional training immediately is something as simple as breaking down larger tasks into smaller ones. Mindful meditation. Quite popular and common these days, mindfulness meditation involves focusing your attention on the present moment, such as breathing, bodily sensations, or the sounds around you. This practice helps improve attentional control and the ability to sustain focus. Then there's also attentional spotting. Choose an object in your environment and focus all your attention on it for a set period of time, noticing its details, colors, and shapes. This exercise helps improve selective attention and concentration. Then there's also something called dual task training. This is knowing how to do attentional switching between one or two tasks. While multitasking isn't necessarily recommended at large, as we discussed in another video, it is unfortunately necessary and a part of daily life. Even when we're driving, we're engaging in some form of multitasking, from managing the acceleration to switching lanes to checking the rearview mirror. So with it being part of our daily life, we should learn how to engage in activities that require simultaneous attention to multiple tasks. So if that's the case, at least we can do it more effectively by practicing things like dual task training. For example, listening to an audiobook while taking notes. Then there's working memory training. Engage in tasks that challenge your working memory capacity, such as remembering and recalling a sequence of numbers or just solving complex puzzles. Then there's also attentional breathing. Focus your attention on your breath, observing the sensation of inhalation and exhalation. Whenever your mind wanders, gently redirect your attention back to your breath. This exercise helps develop sustained attention and the ability to refocus. And finally, there's also something called visual search exercises. Engage in tasks that involve searching for specific objects or patterns within a complex visual scene. You can take a look at a complex artwork or gaze at a complicated puzzle. At the end, this exercise improves visual attention and the ability to detect relevant information efficiently. So, why does attentional training matter now? In today's fast-paced and driven world, attentional training is becoming more important because everything around you is trying to grab and capture your attention. There are an abundance of distractions with an overload of information from social media, streaming content, messages flying into your ears and eyes every single moment. Again, additionally, with a lot of work being on the computer, you're chatting between colleagues constantly. So this constant switching between tasks, windows, tabs, messages can be downright exhausting for your brain. And overall, it creates more cognitive load, something that we discussed in a previous video. So being aware of attentional training and actively incorporating it into daily routines can help you better cope with the challenges of the digital age. And especially with virtual reality, augmented reality, and more of the technological advancements that are happening, distraction will only get worse, so it's better to be prepared. By developing and strengthening attentional skills, you are setting yourself up for greater success in all facets of life, from interpersonal relationships to professional. It helps to improve your ability to concentrate, remain focused, and resist distractions, and not act on impulse. And this is something that we need to learn now. If you liked the video, watch the video on the left about cognitive load and why it's important to know about in this day and age. And make sure to subscribe so we can continue to feed you nuggets of information on brain and behavior and help you mind the golden mind.